This is Confidential Conversations. Today we have Maggie Rae with us, an independent, dreamy alt-pop singer-songwriter. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm stoked to be here.
I'm stoked that you're here. This is very exciting. We were kind of going to delve more into the business side of being an independent artist because you're essentially your own business at this point, right? That's kind of how the industry is working. You know what I'm saying? How are you managing all those aspects, like your promotion, booking, social media?
Yeah. I mean, I think I understand why artists have teams now because it is a lot. And I found kind of like the music was never really like the work to me. Like I would just write songs when it was the moment. Yeah. And so having to do the business side has been like a part-time job. I still work because I don't pay my bills with music.
Yeah, one day.
But one day. And so working on the promotion things, the production, the booking, it is like a part-time job. But I've found it's been fun and exciting just because I'm doing a lot of things that I've never done before. Yeah. So that part is very like exciting, even though it's work and sometimes I was frustrated at certain points. Yeah. It was still really, really exciting.
Well, definitely. I have just started content creation a little bit, and it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to make it look nice. It's a lot of work to edit things together. It's a lot of work to make sure it's posted when it's supposed to be posted. You know, the consistency is a big thing, I think, now. How have you stayed on top of everything? Because you're managing a job, you're managing your own career, you want to keep momentum, right?
Well, I think what I initially started with, what my plan was to release a single ahead of the EP, and then release the EP a couple of weeks later. All of this I planned out with my producer, Sal, and it wasn't until really that the EP was done and we were focused on getting it out that I started to think about hosting a mini tour to celebrate the EP. Of course, I always wanted to have like a celebration show here in Toronto.
Yeah, I love that you did that.
And so I just kind of set the goal at the end of last year that, okay, I would like to do a few shows outside of Toronto to celebrate the EP and kind of expand it. And so that's what I did.
Nice. I love in your posts, you have your spotlights for your openers. And I really love that. Yeah. That's a great idea to kind of get the community involved, I think.
Yes. Well, for me, I really was hoping to bring together the folks that know me or that like my music and the opener and kind of match us together well so that all of our friends and fans and listeners could check each other out and kind of build that. And so
that's interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah, I wanted
like
to
you're kind of
helping
helping each other out too. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I was really, aside from a few friends in Montreal, relying on the openers to hopefully bring some folks out to hear my music for the first time.
Maggie just released an EP not too long ago, February
14th, yeah.
The Year I Spent in Yoko's Bedroom on Spotify, Apple Music.
Everywhere, yeah.
What considerations did you make when you chose the locations for your tour?
It really was that I was, of course, familiar with Kingston. I wanted to bring the show out to my family and friends. And then I thought, well, if we're going east, we could go maybe to Ottawa or Montreal. I don't know, something about the art community, the music community in Montreal interested me. And I've only been to Montreal. I looked back on it like 2 times in my life, and haven't really spent real time there. So I was thinking let's bring the show there, and then we can, share in that community that I haven't really explored.
Yeah. When you were setting up these shows, like behind the scenes, it's not like you just called and booked and showed up kind of thing, and I'm sure you had to budget, figure out where you were staying, or did you go and come back kind of thing? Like what went into that?
No, so the idea was to do Kingston and then go to Montreal and then come back.
Okay.
Just for, convenience and costs and everything. And so we played Kingston on the 29th and then Montreal on the 1st of March. So it was like a Thursday, Friday night, which was super fun. Like, again, I've never done anything like that before. And just, packing up the car, making sure we have everything.
And
that was
tour manager.
Yeah, well, and that was after like booking all of the shows, getting the openers, coordinating tech, talking to the venues, talking to the sound engineers, trying to promote everything,
working,
setting up, tickets, all these things.
Yeah.
Which I did do all myself. Yeah. I had some help from La Boulangerie and my friend Isabeau in Montreal. So they helped me out to find a good venue and set me up with some amazing artists to open the show. And so I was really grateful for that help because, again, awesome. Isabeau is like one of the only people I know in Montreal. So I was super grateful to have help like that along the way.
Right.
Yes.
Did you check out all your venues before you booked them?
No. So, yes. In Kingston and Toronto, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Montreal one, it sounds like you had people there, right?
Yes.
That's what I mean. Like, you had people there kind of vetting them for you.
Yes, exactly. So I basically was just like, I'm looking for a small venue with really good sound. And that's in a, decently central location.
With a good sound person.
Yes. Yeah, that was important to me. Yeah, because I think especially if people are seeing you for the first time, you want the sound to sound good, I
have definitely been to shows where I think that I have a little bit of background in audio now. I kind of understand how that stuff works. And if I didn't, I would just think the artist was bad. If there's a bad sound person, I can't hear the vocalist. All I can hear is the drummer or whatever is going on. You know what I mean? It makes a huge difference, I think, if you have a good sound person.
Yes.
Because the impression that people get of you is not good if the sound person's not good.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you figure that out with the shows that were far away?
So that's what I shared with them when they were helping me pick venues, and they, threw out some names of venues, and then we just went with one, and they did have a sound engineer, and she was amazing, and we had a proper sound check, and so I was really happy with that. And same thing here in Toronto, the sound engineer at the Burdock was amazing. Like he did such a good job and helped us out so much. And that was really important to me because, like you said, sometimes if it's the first impression, you want it to sound good.
Yeah, that's important.
I mean, you always want it to sound good, but yeah, it was really important for me this show because I was presenting the EP.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, A lot of venues in Toronto I find play a pretty wide range of music. How much does the vibe of the venue consider and factor into things for you?
I think quite a bit. For me, it's about creating a vibe set for that music. And so for these shows, it was all about the EP. And so the clothing I chose to wear, the venue, of course, played a big part in setting that scene. I was looking for an intimate setting. I was looking for like a smaller room. I was looking for a music venue.
Yeah.
Rather than like playing in a bar or something like that.
Yeah. Trying to set the tone for who you are, sort of.
Yes.
I was also wondering about your openers. Yeah, you had friends in Montreal that could kind of be your middleman a little bit, check out artists, give you those connects kind of thing. How did you find your other openers?
Well, for Kingston, I just was scanning Instagram and looking for young alt pop musicians, singer-songwriters, people that seem to be doing something similar to myself. And I was, just looking for someone who was embedded in the community of that place.
Oh, interesting.
So
like had a good following, or
and like was active in the community, you know, like playing shows or releasing music. And I was also, when I was looking around, I found it would be great to have someone who recently released something or who is promoting a new release, so that they're, you know, also trying to create excitement or celebrate something as well. Yeah. And so I found Savannah Shea just on Instagram, and reached out to her and was like, here's the show. Do you have any interest? And she was down. And then in Toronto, I had played a show with Sunday a couple years ago. And I always loved his music, loved his vibe, his voice. And he had recently released music and was about to release a new single. And so I thought it would be great to have him as well, because he's promoting something new, and I just loved his style, and I thought it would be a cool match for, the show. So
I've seen you play at Handlebar before, and it seems like you have a lot of collaborations going on behind the scenes. You're involved with a lot of people in the community. I'm super lucky to have worked with different people and tried different projects. So of course this EP I collaborated on with my friend Sal Talon, who is a music producer and also an artist. And I have my bandmates, Mark Villamore, who is also an incredible musician and has his own project and is a well-loved, organizer in the community. And Miguel Lopez, who is also a musician. Everyone that I am lucky to work with or collaborate with is also incredible musicians and have continued to help me along the way. I don't know if I'm just like name dropping people, but I feel like it's important to shout out people or like share the names of people who support you or who have helped you. When you're supporting each other, you're giving them something to be a part of as well, I think, and I think we learn from collaborating. I think that's how our music gets better.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it that's exactly what it does. It inspires me. It puts an idea for me that maybe I would have never thought of, but just being in someone else's presence inspires something. And
you're not in your own head the whole time.
And I love it, honestly. I'm so grateful to all of the people who have ever worked with me or collaborated with me.
What are your plans coming up past the EP?
Past the EP? I have been thinking, because I kind of am a person who will just set a goal and then work really hard to achieve it.
Yeah, I think that's what you're supposed to do, I think. You know what I mean? I do. I think you're supposed to do that. Achievable goals.
Yes.
Milestones. It's not like I'm going to be famous and make money off my music you know what I mean? Like, right. Obviously you're going to make money, but I mean, it's going to be my career next week kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like setting those goals, I think, is really it's like stepping stones instead of just unattainable craziness.
Yeah, I guess that's what they taught us in school about, smart goals.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just
you're a businesswoman
with that.
Yeah.
So I kind of at the end of the tour, I was kind of thinking about, okay, I do still want to make a music video for this project. But I am thinking it will either be more kind of touring, you know, trying to set up more shows kind of for the summer.
Yeah.
Or it will be creating a new project. So like writing a new EP or a new album.
What is your goal with touring? If you're thinking about touring the summer, let's say, what are you looking to get out of that?
I think just more experience playing in different cities, trying to share the music with new audiences, and just trying to expand my musical community.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the fun part. I love music so much. I love going to shows. I love hearing new music. I love it all. And so I think, and playing shows is so fun. And so I think just going to new places and playing new venues and meeting new people, that sounds so fun to me. So
how did you know you were ready to start booking shows like that instead of, I don't know, like going to open mics or, you know, taking that next step, you know?
Great question. I just, with this EP, I thought to myself, well, it started with the idea of having a release show, and I had never set up a show before.
Wow.
I had always just kind of been invited to play shows. I had kind of submitted to this old festival that used to take place in Toronto, things like that.
Yeah.
But I'd never contacted a venue and said, you know, I'd like to play here. I'd never done that.
Yeah.
So when I thought about the EP release, I said to myself, well, I'm going to have to do that here in Toronto.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know. I just became inspired to take the show into other areas.
Yeah, it was brave. You've never done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the thing about this music was that I really believe in this music. I really love these songs. And
I was singing MVP this morning.
Thank you.
Stuck in my head, so.
And so I just really wanted to, I wanted people to hear them.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I started feeling when the songs were forming in production. And I just really believe in the songs.
Yeah.
And I wanted more people to hear them. And so that kind of made sense to me that I would take the show on the road.
Yeah.
And try to celebrate it with, you know, my family and friends in Kingston, and then some new audiences or new people in Montreal. So
were the venues charging you a fee to book, or was it more of you sold tickets? How did that part of things work?
So every single venue is different.
Yeah.
That was something I learned. It was so interesting.
Yeah.
Reaching out to different venues, like in all 3 cities. I reached out to various venues, and each time it was completely different. So it's so that part, I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I didn't think that there was like a formula of like everyone does it this way, but I guess I didn't realize how varied it would be. And so
what's an example of varied? Like, what do you mean?
So, for example, some venues do charge you to have the room. It would be different based on what night of the week.
Okay.
So you'd probably pay more for like a Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And then some venues, that's considered like a deposit. And then you can get some of your deposit back if you sell so much at the bar.
Oh, interesting.
And then that was just one place. And then other places aren't charging you, and you can create your own tickets or your own door price, but that's all on you. So you can, you know, create an Eventbrite, or for the show in Kingston, I just had cover at the door.
Yeah.
And then other places, yeah, they don't charge you, but you split tickets with the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you can pretty much everywhere I could sell my own merch.
Oh, cool.
And
did they charge you to sell your own merch? Yeah. Okay.
No.
Smaller venues, pretty chill, maybe.
I think so on that piece. Yes.
Mm-hmm. How much support did you get from the venue when you showed up?
Every place is different again. Yeah. Every venue was, like on time. They had the people that we expected to be there.
Yeah.
The sound engineer, everybody was set up and ready to go. And because they were smaller venues, like not each one had like a green room or things like that, but all of the venues were very great to work with and communicated well, and it was appreciated.
Did you find, like, through this process you've learned a lot, obviously, about what goes into booking a venue, I guess. Like what was kind of a big thing that you're like, oh, I know how to do that this way or whatever. Now I know how to reach out to now I know what I'd say, I guess.
What I think got me successful was the fact that I had a specific idea for the show. It was part of what I was calling a mini tour, but
and you're not willy-nilly just like, I'm gonna play a show. Like you could see that you had planning and promotion and
I was promoting the project, and it was for the purpose of celebrating this project and sharing it. And so I think that really helps. I think if I were to just, it possibly would be similarly successful just reaching out and saying, I haven't played this city before. I'd like to set up a show here. But I think sharing that I had this project that I was planning all of this promotion and activity around was helpful.
Do you think having the local opener was helpful in that sense too?
Yes,
having someone
absolutely.
in their community. Because they would assume that they would bring people with them, I guess, right? As well.
Yeah, that's a big thing. What I found, again, places where they weren't charging, they were asking you, how much people can you bring in, and these kinds of things, because obviously that's if they're not taking a fee from you, they want to
sell the bar when you were reaching out to the venues, were you reaching out as yourself or it's just like, hey, I'm Maggie Rae, this is what's up?
Yes. I didn't know what else, that was my option, and it was a little nerve-wracking, especially if I had my heart set on a venue, because I didn't want to be rejected, but I also was so prepared for rejection just because at the time I had not played. I had played a little show, I think at the beginning of February, but I had not played like a proper band show headlining in like a year and a half. So to just reach out to a venue and say, I'm releasing new music, but I haven't really performed in such a long time, was I knew I was.
You were honest about it,
for rejection.
Yeah,
I was prepared for rejection.
Like you weren't like, I've been playing live all the time, kind of thing. Like you're like,
you can't lie.
Who I am. I think it's scary though, right? Like it's an artist. Some people reach out with their pretend manager, right? I'm so and so representing Maggie Rae. Do they do that? Yeah, they make fake email addresses or to make it seem like they're more established than they are. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I think people are scared to be honest sometimes because of the risk of rejection.
Yes.
It's nice. It's refreshing to hear that you could just. It's not easy, but you can do it.
Yes, I imagine this is how a lot of independent artists have started.
Yeah.
I'm especially when you can't really afford to pay people to do this work for you. You just have to do it yourself. And so that, I don't think there's any shame in that. Like, there's so many self-managed independent artists out there, and you can do it. Well,
and I feel like the community aspect really is part of that whole thing, where you're all helping each other out, you know, like on a, obviously you took a band with you. Like, that's they are booking time off work, I'm assuming, as well, to come along with you. It's a big thing, I think, just having that community, those people around.
Absolutely.
You know?
And yes, I don't know if I could have done it without them. They helped me so much, and it was so great to have their support. And I get so much out of playing with other people. So to have them there, I just enjoyed myself so much more.
Yeah. I think you can feel that energy watching somebody play live too, when you're all vibing, you know, and you have that, you can feel that energy. I think it's a huge part. Stage presence, huge part, you know? I feel like the music is half of it, and the other half is the experience of being there and hearing you know what I mean? Like, seeing the people playing the music, you know?
The performance is a huge thing. Yes.
Yeah, those are your big investment fans, the ones that are paying money to come see you. You know, you want them to come see you again, kind of thing. You know, if we go back to the business side of things a little bit, do you have like a day of the week that you sit down and you're like, I'm planning my week today, you know what I mean? I'm gonna schedule all my posts for the week, or I'm gonna, do you know what I mean?
So at the time, I was kind of I would do like a little bit of what I needed kind of every night, especially because what I did was I released the single, and then I had 2 weeks until the EP. But also at that time, I was preparing to announce the tour with the EP.
Oh,
so
okay.
So at the time, the 2 weeks before the EP, I was not only promoting the EP, but I was planning and trying to create all of the promotion for the tour. So I, you know, the like posters and the ticket links and all of the pieces that would go with announcing the tour needed to be in place before I announced it, obviously. So
that's crazy.
I was doing all of that while I was promoting the EP.
And working.
Yeah. And so I would try to just work a little bit each night. And then I think at that time I was posting every morning, at least for a week, just to have the consistency of being on people's radar, you know?
I feel like people are scared to post often. The artists that I've talked to, a lot of them are newer. And they're anxious to put themselves out there on social media, right? They don't want to annoy people. But I think they don't realize that people aren't going to see it. Or they are going to see it and they're going to forget.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So the constant exposure, I feel like, is a huge part of being an artist, you know?
Well, I think, and honestly, shout out to Sal Talon, my producer and friend. We discussed so many things outside of production. Like, obviously she produced the EP, but we discussed so many things. She helped me with the artwork. Like, she took photos for MVP and did the artwork for me. And something that she said that made so much sense to me when she said it was, online consistency is equal to or like physical proximity in real life. So if you think about that, it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, when you're around people all the time, like who are actually in your space, like close to you, like for example, coworkers or neighbors or people in your life, then you think of them more, you think about what they're up to more, you know what's going on in their life, you kind of know what's, you know.
I love that.
Yeah, and then so online, if you're consistently showing up on people's feeds, it's kind of like having that proximity. Like, they're thinking of you, they know what you're up to.
You have been in my brain.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I reached out to you, because I was like, Maggie's doing stuff, Maggie's out there, like, you know.
Yeah, so I think it is a little nerve-wracking to think, oh, here I go again, posting again and posting again. But I also, again, I'm a huge like music fan music listener, and I thought about people who I follow, who I appreciate their presence online. Like, how do they post, or how do they show up on my social media? And I think the biggest thing that I noticed about people that I really like to engage with online is people who are just being authentic.
Yeah.
So
I think that's huge now, especially everything's so digital. People want to feel like you're a person.
Yes, and that you're just being you. Like, and that you're not forcing anything.
People can tell when you're forcing things, I think.
For sure. Yeah. And so I think that doesn't look the same for every person, obviously. What their authentic self showing up looks like online is so different. So for somebody, it makes so much sense to like post like 5 times a day or something. Whereas for somebody else, it makes more sense to post like once a month or something. And for the other time, you know, people are, you know, I think finding what feels like authentic and like feels right for you is.
If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Kind of thing. Yeah. Scary out there. Scary out there. And people that might not like your post, or that's not your audience.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't matter because they're not your they're not your people anyways. I think it's kind of the big thing, right? I'm gonna do a time check. It's actually 11. You gotta get out of here pretty much, eh? Yeah, you're like, absolutely, I do. Was there anything you wanted to slide in before we wrap it up?
I would say, if there's anyone out there that sees this video and ever wants to just talk about the music industry or talk about projects or how to do things, at this point I'm so ready to share what I learned, because no one sat me down and told me how a lot of these things go. And
when you Google it, and what comes up? Nothing. Like, it's like 10 different answers.
Yeah, and to decipher what actually happens in real life. And so I would be so happy to speak to anybody, like to reach out to me and just share what I've learned, because I feel empowered by the fact that I learned all this stuff, and I feel like I can do it now. And so I would love to share what I know. And of course, I'm still celebrating and promoting the EP. And so if there's folks watching that haven't checked it out, please check it out. And like I said, I hope to have a music video this year for one of the songs.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Haley.
Thanks everybody for checking in today. Check out Maggie Rae, new EP, The Year I Spent in Yoko's Bedroom. Okay, thank you. That's awesome.
You.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't want